There's a lot to see in Disney World, but that's why it can hide so many secrets. Welcome to Epcot. Number 1, it's legal to swim in Epcot. There are a few programs that allow you to swim in one of the tanks here at the Seas with Nemo and Friends. One of them requires you to have a scuba license. The other does not. The other involves just meeting dolphins and hanging out and being cool. The other involves actually getting to swim down deep. 5.7 million gallons. That's how huge this tank is. And if you have a scuba diving license, you can sign up and take part in a class and actually go scuba diving inside the tanks. The price for the Epcot Seas Adventures, which is a dolphin in depth, is $209. And again, that does not require you to have a scuba diving license. The Epcot Seas Adventures Dive Quest, that is the one where you actually get to scuba dive inside the tank. That ranges from $229 per person to $249 per person. And again, you gotta have that scuba diving certification. Number 2, there's a mouse on that crown. Here in the Germany Pavilion, there are so many beautiful details, but one stands out as the most interesting to those seeking hidden Mickeys. Number 3, Italy is busy, like visually, not in terms of how many people are in there. Like, it's got a lot going on. The architecture of 3 Italian cities are represented in the pavilion: Venice, Rome, and Florence. Venetian architecture is represented by a recreation of St. Mark's Campanile? Oh gosh. A bell tower. The Il Bel Cristallo shop is meant to resemble the Sistine Chapel in Florence, and it really does. Sometimes I see pictures of people in front of the Sistine Chapel, the real one, and I think they're in Epcot. And it's on Instagram, and I almost say, oh my gosh, you're here? And then I look and I realize that they're actually just in real Italy. And the Neptune fountain here is reminiscent of Rome's Trevi fountain. Number 4, rat years. Over here in the Ratatouille section of the France Pavilion, you can see there is a window here. Vins Fiends, like fine wine. What's really important about this is the fact that these wine labels have a secret. We got number 1 in 2007, the Ratatouille film opened. 2014, this ride opened first in Disneyland Paris Resort. And then in 2021, we have the ride opening here in Epcot. Number 5, excuse me while I mow my air conditioner. This is called a torvtack, or what we in America might call a sod roof or a turf roof. This is a traditional type of Scandinavian green roof covered with sod on top of several layers of birch bark on gently sloping wooden roof boards. Until the late 19th century, it was the most common roof on rural log houses in Norway and large parts of the rest of Scandinavia, but they have inspired a new design trend in modern times all over the world known as the green roof. Back in the old days of the torvtack, they were actually used as a form of air conditioning, keeping houses cooler in the summer and insulating them and keeping them a bit warmer in the winter. Benefits of modern green roofs are said to be a reduction in air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions by lowering air conditioning demand, reducing energy use since green roofs remove heat from the air through the process of evaporation. Sorry, it's a much more complicated word than that. Evapotranspiration. Evapotranspiration. That's my word of the day. Number 6, it's a great big beautiful spaceship Earth. Carousel of Progress in Magic Kingdom shows the progress of the American family as they adopt new technology throughout the 20th century. Spaceship Earth is a ride in Epcot that tells you the history of communication starting with the cavemen. In one scene during the latter, you can actually see two of the stars of Carousel of Progress, John and Sarah, playing instruments in the Renaissance section. Now, we learned in the 40 Secrets of Magic Kingdom video that it is common, or it is not uncommon, for Disney to recycle animatronics from one attraction to another just to save some money. In this vignette, it seems to be more of a tribute than actually just a recycling for the purposes of saving some money. Number 7, when I think of World Showcase, I think of Pennsylvania. Via Napoli, a pizza restaurant in the Italy Pavilion, ships water from Pennsylvania to use in the dough because it shares much of the same water qualities, like mineral content, that are found in the water in Naples. There's a water source in the Keystone State that is key to producing the perfect pizza pie. Flour is obviously very important too to make the crust. That is imported from Naples, but the water imported all the way from good old Pennsylvania. Now, this is a secret that I have heard talked about for years, but things change, and I was kind of afraid that this might not be an active secret anymore, but I can confirm I just spoke to a cast member who told me the water is still being imported from Pennsylvania. I spoke to another cast member who told me, she said, I don't know if this is a secret or not, but all of the pickiest Italian cast members love the tiramisu that is made with Nutella at Via Napoli. So that sounds like a must get when you come here and try that amazing pizza. You should also make room for that Nutella tiramisu, because if the Italian cast members love it, the picky ones, you know it's gotta be good. Number 8, Guinness Book World Record holder? Not only is Impressions de France in the France Pavilion one of my favorite things to do in EPCOT, it is also world famous for being the longest running daily screening of a film in the same theater. That was 35 years as of October 1st, 2017. The official Guinness website says that Impressions de France has been shown multiple times every day in the France Pavilion at Disney's EPCOT from the 1st of October 1982 for the past 35 years and counting as of October 1st, 2017, making it the longest daily running in a single theater of the same unmodified film of any length, feature, or short. Now, in 2019, it did close for a while to be converted to 4K projection, and they also brought in the Beauty and the Beast sing-along to alternate with this film shown different times throughout the day. If you'd like to see Impressions de France when you are here visiting EPCOT, be sure to look in the My Disney Experience app. You can literally search the name of the film and it will tell you the show times. Right now it's showing for about an hour in the morning and maybe a few hours at night. Number 9, the Hollow Wall of Germany. All the way back in the Germany Pavilion by Summerfest, which is the sort of quick service spot where you can order a brat or a pretzel, and they have mobile order. You can see right next to it is this beautiful mural on the wall. Now, if you come up really close, you can see that it appears to be made out of some sort of fabric material, maybe a burlap, like a potato sack material of sorts. It's woven, and it's not very finely woven. It's kind of crudely woven. And yet, from far away, it creates this really nice effect because it almost has like a misty quality, if that makes any sense, because of the fabric it's painted on. Knock on the wall. It sounds hollow, like something temporary, almost like a construction wall when they put up walls around Walt Disney World during construction. They have that sort of hollow quality because it's just, I think it's plywood. Now, to understand why this wall and this mural don't seem very permanent, we have to go back in time to when the pavilion first opened and a scheduled phase 2 that was supposed to happen in the Germany Pavilion that unfortunately was never to be. The Germany Pavilion was originally slated to contain a dark ride, a river cruise down the Rhine that was described in the 1976 annual report as a cruise down Germany's most famous rivers. Detailed miniatures of famous landmarks will also be seen, including one of the Cologne Cathedral. In fact, the attraction was scheduled for inclusion for so long that a show building and its entrance were constructed right here before it was scratched. And guess what? This was supposed to be it. Kind of sad is that. I would love to ride a dark ride in the Germany Pavilion, but now we have a mural on some cool fabric, and we have a wall that we can knock on and know that the mystery is solved. It's not a permanent wall because it was supposed to be taken down to allow guests in to ride a really cool dark ride. Number 10, the Secret Mask Maker. It's pretty common knowledge at this point that you can go into La Gemma Elegante, a store in the Italy Pavilion that sells handmade Venetian masks, and ask to see scary masks or the secret masks, at which time a cast member will bring out some hidden masks from under the counter that may be too intense to be on display in EPCOT. Do you have the scary masks right now?
Yes, we do.
May I see them, please? Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yes.
Amazing. And Matteo, who makes these incredible masks, now he's back, right? For the first time since, when did he leave? 2018 or?
18.
Wow.
Yes.
He went back to Italy.
Here. Yes.
And now he's back here in EPCOT. And how many days? 5 days a week?
5 days a week, yes.
In the Italy Pavilion, incredible.
Yeah.
Is he making masks?
Yes, he is.
In store. Wow.
He made this one.
Amazing. Now, okay, these were for 4th of July, and it's a tribute to his experience in growing up in Italy and coming to America, and now he's living here for the second time and blessing us with his incredible artwork.
This one on top.
Oh, that is incredible. Also maybe in the scary realm.
Yeah, a little bit.
But also very beautiful.
Yes.
Incredible.
All one of a kind.
Well, Maria Luisa, you are always the most helpful person ever. You know, come say hi to her next time you're in EPCOT. If Matteo is in, definitely enjoy watching him make some of these incredible masks, but there is always an amazing range available for purchase, and you should prioritize this next time you're in EPCOT for sure. Number 11, blink and you'll miss them. Soarin' Around the World is the second version of Soarin' to be shown here in the Land Pavilion in EPCOT. The first was Soarin' over California, but it was just called Soarin' because they didn't want to make it all about California on the East Coast, but it was originally created for DCA, Disney's California Adventure, which opened in 2001. That one had a really cool hidden Mickey. It was on a golf ball. I've tried to take a picture of it, like my whole life since 2001. I've never been able to get a picture of the Mickey, the hidden Mickey on the golf ball that zooms past you. But there are some hidden Mickeys in this version of the ride, Soarin' Around the World, that are so cool, but so kind of discreet. If you blink, you'll definitely miss them. One of them is the hot air balloon scene, where 3 hot air balloons converge in this perfect formation to briefly create a hidden Mickey, but you have to look fast. All 3 of them are on the move, and it is just a passing moment in time. And slightly easier to spot at the very end of the ride, there is a fireworks show going on in EPCOT, and 2 big fireworks behind Spaceship Earth create ears, making Spaceship Earth the Big Mickey. Not so hidden, but very, very cool. And still, if you blink, you might miss it. Number 12, dog perfume. Right here in EPCOT, right here at the Fjording in the Norway Pavilion, you can purchase a perfume made specifically and solely for your dog. Most people know about Geir Ness, the perfume designer from Norway, who has a boutique inside the fjording here in Epcot. What most people don't know is that Geir designed a perfume just for dogs, and it's called Voff 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 Doggy Mist. And this is it right here. It's $25. I've never splurged on this for Daisy, but maybe I should. Is this something we should all be purchasing for our pampered pups? Let me know in the comments below. I might reconsider because, of course, I would do anything for her, but, you know, $25 for dog perfume? It's like, it's fine.
This is a very nice one, too.
I know. I'm sorry, Sharon. I'm smelling dog perfume on my wrist. Is it? Has anyone ever done this before? Okay, good. Thank you. It smells really good. It smells really good. It smells really good. It's clean. It's fresh. It's a clean smell. It smells like when you first wash your dog. So it's not giving sort of any sort of gender. It's not a masculine or a feminine scent. It is neutral and just very fresh and very clean. And it's also light and not totally overpowering. So I can see this being something that we should be using on our dogs. Both of these condition and moisturize. So there's actually treatment involved with coconut and palm extracts. Even in the perfume, it's not just fragrance you're adding to your dog, it's actually helping their coats and their skin, which is amazing. Geir apparently volunteers at animal shelters, at dog shelters, and learned about different dogs this way, and he was moved to create this product. It's a lot cooler than I thought. It is more than a perfume. It is a treatment product, and it is so unique and something you can buy here in Epcot. What a secret. Number 13, secretly tall. Here at American Adventure Pavilion, we're standing at the foot of the massive show building for the American Adventure Stage Show. It officially looks massive, especially coming this close to it. I couldn't really tell from farther away, and that is for very good reason. This building is at the center of World Showcase and visible from all around World Showcase Lagoon. Now, this is actually a 5-story tall building, but Disney World doesn't want you to know that. Forced perspective is used all over Disney parks, going all the way back to the original Disneyland, especially in the case of Main Street. Forced perspective was used to make buildings look taller and grander seeming. Walt also wanted the walk from Main Street to Sleeping Beauty Castle in Disneyland to seem much longer and grander than it actually was, because that park is pretty small, and that castle, she's really small. And to do all of this, Walt Disney used forced perspective, which basically means you use various design details to create the illusion that something is either larger or smaller than it actually is. Most of the time, I would say, it's used to make things seem larger, but in the case of the American Adventure Pavilion, the building had to be big enough to house this elaborate audio animatronic spectacular, but it also needed to look appropriate to size to be taken seriously as a building from the colonial period. In order to create this illusion, it is disguised as being just 3 stories tall in terms of what your eyes perceive, but in reality, that is a 5-story tall building. Number 14, a hiding beast. A forgotten relic lives on in the Japan Pavilion. Previously hidden by an overgrowth of bushes and trees, this statue was originally seen in the Bijutsu Kan Gallery right next to Mitsukoshi downstairs during their Spirited Beasts exhibit, and was moved after the exhibit closed and brought up here to the garden. The foliage has been tamed, but the spirited beast has not. At one point, when the parks reopened after the pandemic closures, this statue was completely hidden by an overgrowth of bushes and trees. Number 15, there would never be a Frozen ride without Sea Venture. Sea Venture, all one word. In the mid-1980s, when the plans for the World Showcase Pavilion that would eventually become Norway were solidifying, the initial concept was that the area was supposed to be a Nordic pavilion that would combine elements from various Scandinavian countries into one pavilion. In the end, there were only Norwegian investors sponsoring the pavilion and ride, so the pavilion became strictly Norwegian. In turn, plans for its attraction, initially called and heavily marketed as Sea Venture, were reworked into strictly being a journey through mythological Norway, ultimately called Maelstrom. What's interesting is that Sea Venture was the ride's name all the way up into the soft opening of the pavilion. The sign was up for everyone to see right there. It said Sea Venture, where it now says Frozen Ever After in 1988, when the pavilion soft opened and people were allowed to come in to the rest of the pavilion, into the shops, and go shopping. This was originally intended to be a thrill ride, and that original intention carried through in the design of Maelstrom. The section of Frozen Ever After where Elsa sends you backwards, saying let it go, to Marshmallow, who also says let it go, but it's in a cuter way. And then you are sent barreling down a 30-foot drop. That was originally such an intense combination of scenes that some of the lightning storm effects utilized, including wind machines, sprinklers, and a literal Tesla coil simulating lightning, had to be toned down. They actually stopped using the Tesla coil and replaced it with a lighting effect. And of course, the ride was renamed Maelstrom. And then in 2016, it was turned into Frozen Ever After, which is the ride we have today. And it's a good ride. Number 16, the World's Unfair. When EPCOT opened in 1982, it was promoted as a permanent World's Fair. It was conceived as a permanent World's Fair. That was the original idea. So it's probably not a coincidence that the 1982 Chicago World's Fair ended up being canceled. In 1984, New Orleans went ahead with their World's Fair, but it was a financial disaster, which poses the question, is EPCOT responsible for the downfall of the World's Fair?
Yeah, all right.
Number 17, Seeing Red. Out here in Planetary Plaza, in front of Mission Space, the ride, you can see this incredible representation of planets out front. Now this one here is considered an unnamed red planet, but the aesthetic was so important to Imagineers. It is said that they tested 100 shades of red to narrow it down and get it to this particular shade. Now, they are currently in the process of replacing panels that have faded, and it is looking great once again and back to that true vibrant red that Imagineers tested so many shades to ultimately achieve. And it's fun to be in the middle of a secret right now because they are in the middle of restoring it to that color, and it's fun to see it sort of half and half, what the panels look like before they have that vibrant coating. Number 18, you can gamble in EPCOT. Inside Mitsukoshi Department Store in the Japan Pavilion, you can find a lot of very unique items, but I guarantee you nothing will be more unique than the item that may or may not exist inside the shell you pick. This is a shell you'll purchase right inside those doors, should you choose to take part in this EPCOT gambling bonanza. It's called Pick a Pearl, and while it's not really gambling, it's more like you're paying for something that you just haven't seen yet. You pay to choose the oyster, which in turn may contain a pearl of varying size. Maybe you'll be lucky. Maybe we'll be lucky. All right, this experience is $30. I'm gonna go up and pay and see what happens. Roll the dice, pull the lever. Maybe we'll get a jackpot.
Let's perform Japanese greeting together. Please, teacher, I need your little help. Please count down 3, 2, 1. In Japanese.
Oh my God. I thought maybe for a second I knew, but I don't have any idea. I'm so sorry.
No worries, we can practice.
Okay.
So we say san.
San.
Yes.
I.
Ichi.
Ichi.
Yes, perfect.
San. I. Ichi.
Right. Thank you very much. Oh, good. I found your pearl.
Amazing.
Yeah, gorgeous pearl is right. Wow, you got a beautiful greenish white pearl. Congratulations,
Incredible.
a shiny one.
Wow, thank you. Wow, all of the cast members in the pearl experience were surprised to see that I had gotten one that was 7.5 millimeters. These are cultured pearls, which means they were, I guess, seeded by humans in order to create a pearl. But that doesn't have any control over how large the pearl it creates is going to be. Did we make our $30 back? I have absolutely no way of answering that question right now. I can tell you it was fun when they played the drums and when the pearl was handed to me. There are people who consider themselves to be vegan who do eat shellfish. They call themselves ostro-vegans, and they say it is ethically fine to eat shellfish because they have no central nervous system. I am somewhere in the middle. I do not consume shellfish, but I bought a pearl that was made in one, and it's pretty. Number 19, we were here. In the entire entryway to EPCOT, there used to be these amazing structures. They looked like rock formations, and if you looked closely, there were thousands of tiny pictures all over them. Well, guess what? I took one with my Uncle Graham, and we used to be able to visit. Well, cut to 2020, the parks reopened. The rock-like structures had been removed from the front entryway of EPCOT, and they were replaced by these kind of very colorful rainbow walls that had the little pictures on them, but it was outside of the park now. So let's go outside of the park and take a look. I've searched for mine with my uncle before and I cannot find it. I searched last night, I could not find it. I'm gonna search his name right now because I know he has another one with his friend Mike that we can look at. Okay, we're gonna go here. We're gonna scan this QR code and go. Now, Disney sold 700,000 1-inch square Leave a Legacy photos to be on these monoliths. So it does not surprise me that maybe some got lost or didn't get recorded properly. I hear there is another step you can take if you are like me and you have not been able to find yours. But I am just as happy seeing my Uncle Graham's sweet face on the wall right here outside of EPCOT. Well, we're going on a real journey in the dark. Alone over here. This is the smoking section, by the way, if you're ever in need of that at EPCOT. 061705. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait a minute. 70. Yep. Oh my gosh. There's Graham and his friend Mike, and they're still best friends to this day. Oh, hi Graham and Mike. Hopefully someday I will be able to find the one of my Uncle Graham and I together. But until that day, I'm so happy to just be able to visit my Uncle Graham. 061705. Number 20, a checkered past. The mosaics that line the entry walkways to the land pavilion were created by artist Hans Joachim Scharf. And long before he was a renowned mosaic artist, he also created the iconic mosaics inside of Cinderella Castle. How do I say this? He served as an interrogator for the Nazi party. Yeah, not good. Now, after the war, he actually taught classes on interrogation for the US Air Force in exchange for sanctuary in the US. And ultimately, he found his way to the art of mosaic making, having a prolific career doing so. And he even did the floors of the California State Capitol. He got to the point where he was clearly a proud American, and America was proud to claim him as one of our own. Number 21, Titanic proportions. The hotel you see in the Canada Pavilion is a recreation of the Chateau Laurier in Ottawa, Canada, named after Prime Minister at the time, Laurier. Charles Melville Hayes was the president of the Grand Trunk Railway and commissioned this hotel and decided he would get to the opening ceremony on a brand new ship called the Titanic. The gala opening of the hotel was set for April 25th, 1912. Very sadly, the Titanic sunk on April 14th, 11 days before the opening of the hotel. He was never able to see it completed, but we have this amazing monument to his memory in the recreation of this hotel being the iconic focal point of the Canada Pavilion in EPCOT. Number 22, no climbing. When I see a sign like this that says no climbing, my first thought is, who on earth would want to climb this thing? That is not in my wheelhouse of things I desire. But they had to add these signs after so many people climbed the facade of the Mexico Pavilion. But the signs still haven't stopped some people from climbing. If you feel like Googling drunk guy climbing the Mexico Pavilion, you'll see what you see, all right? Don't tell them I sent you. Number 23, keep the receipt. When you exit the seas with Nemo and friends, you are exiting into an area that used to be called Sea Base. But actually, it's still called Sea Base, but nobody knows that. There's not one sign anywhere that says Sea Base or Sea Base Alpha anymore. There is one place you will see it that I know of. It's the one place I know of anywhere in the building, and that is on receipts. All right, I just donated to the Disney Conservation Fund and received one of these amazing buttons. It's fun to get a new one. I have, obviously, a bunch of them that I've collected over the years, but also for my donation, I did receive a receipt, and indeed it says Sea Base Alpha. Number 24, Walt's Secret Nap Place. Here in the Land Pavilion, inside of Garden Grill, a really delicious table service restaurant, you have a very interesting feature. It really slowly rotates through the ride that is down below called Living with the Land. One of the sets that you go by in the ride, and also the restaurant, which is also a ride, is a recreation of Walt Disney's boyhood home and also a replica of his bedroom upstairs. You can't see the bedroom when you're on the ride, but you can see it when you are in the restaurant going by. So when you pass that farmhouse and you're sitting there eating and Mickey's saying hi and you're having a great time, maybe take a moment to stand, walk over to the side of the restaurant ledge and take a look inside, because that was Walt Disney's boyhood bedroom. And then the minute you're done, sit back down, because that meal is all you care to enjoy, and I want you to enjoy it all. Number 25, toilet nostalgia. This is the third version of a ride to be in the Imagination Pavilion, and the one that most people who rode all three consider to be the second worst. The first version was amazing and weird and too good to be true, unfortunately. There isn't a lot left to this pavilion that's original, but there is a secret place where you can still hear the original music from this pavilion playing on a loop day and night. In order to catch a little bit of this, I am gonna go into the restroom and make sure no one else is in there, and then attempt to record a little bit of audio only, just to see if I can bring you a little bit of the magic. No one else is in here. That was making memories. Okay, I'm stopping now. I'm getting out of here. Number 26, a planter of hope. Yes, I'm sitting on the corner of it. If you've been watching All Ears for a while, you know that I have a deep-rooted love of a ride called Horizons, which no longer exists. The rumors were that it closed because there was a sinkhole underneath it, and that is why the entire show building had to be demolished. You'll notice in other cases, like Test Track over there replacing World of Motion, and Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind over there replacing Universe of Energy and Ellen's Energy Adventure, that they were actually able to keep the show buildings. So that sort of leads me to believe that the story might be kind of true, that there was a sinkhole and that's why it had to be demolished. In any event, the ride is gone and the building is gone, and so are my hopes and dreams, except for one little thing that keeps the dream of new horizons for you and for me, that's the theme song, alive, and that is this planter. Yep, it's a planter. It's the original planter that held the marquee for Horizons, and it is all that is left of the original ride and the original design of this pavilion. On your next visit to EPCOT, please come pay tribute. Sit on the edge of this little planter that survived, and maybe sing a little of the Horizons theme song, or at least just touch it and say, if you can dream it, then you can do it. You don't have to sing it. Just say, if you can dream it, then you can do it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But I have to sing it. If you can dream it, then you can do it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Number 27, going up. How many selfies have I taken through these mirrored columns right in front, coming out of the front of Spaceship Earth? I would say this is one of the most iconic design elements when you're looking at Spaceship Earth from some distance. These mirrored columns are such a major part of the way the attraction looks. Well, we know that the construction of Spaceship Earth was an engineering feat and includes many amazing secrets. But one of my favorite, which I've just recently learned, actually, I think it might have to be my favorite, is the fact that there's actually a freight elevator that goes up the middle of Spaceship Earth in order to load in and remove anything from ride vehicles, animatronics, set pieces, props. Anything they need to move around is able to be loaded and unloaded through a secret freight elevator. In the scene where Islamic and Jewish scholars have saved recorded history, the wall behind the scholars is actually an elevator door which slides open and allows transportation of anything needed to keep the ride looking great. And this mirrored column I've taken so many pictures in front of, this right here is the elevator shaft itself. This iconic design element actually has a very important purpose. It's not just aesthetic. As you can see right here, there is a sign on these mirrored doors, do not stand in front of door. I'm not gonna stand in front of it, but you can see that they are opened. You can see they're able to open all the way up. There are hinges in this section of the door as well. So this is a very wide door, because it is the door of a freight elevator. I have to tell you that I knew there was a freight elevator in Spaceship Earth. I knew that there was a door in one of the show scenes, but I did not know until this very day that this right here is the elevator shaft. Number 28, Mirror Mirror. Here at the exit of Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, there is a mirror here that is hung on the wall that has something written on it in Xandarian. And the message here translates, observe everybody neat and pretty. You are now entering EPCOT. Smile, you are representing all Xandarians. Do it well. There was a reference in the queue to the fact that we're all ambassadors of and representative of the Xandarian people, having made this journey. Number 29, room to grow. When EPCOT first opened, there were only 9 countries in World Showcase because Morocco and Norway were added later. It's strange to think about because walking around World Showcase, the pavilions each feel so close to each other, but believe it or not, there's actually room for 6 more pavilions. The most recent addition was the Norway Pavilion in 1988. So World Showcase fans have given up hope, but I'll tell you what, that would be an incredible D23 announcement. Number 30, claustrophobia warning. Well, we've learned that that is a freight elevator in the middle of Spaceship Earth. Did you know that Spaceship Earth is actually 2 spheres? Yes, you have the outer shell, which is the geodesic sphere, and then you have the inner shell, which is another sphere that acts as the show building for the actual ride. Now, there are about 2 feet in between the 2 spheres and catwalks that allow workers to go in there and fix things. In fact, that's the way that they were able to install the lights for the 50th anniversary beacon of light, which is so iconic and is here to this day. Every night you can see amazing light shows on Spaceship Earth because of this creepy 2-foot wide catwalk space in between the 2 spheres that make up Spaceship Earth. Number 31, eat the ride. Living with the Land is an AllEars cast member favorite. In fact, it's hard to get a criticism out of any of us for this ride, and it's especially Fry Bucket's favorite. An amazing fact about this ride is that the formerly very futuristic but still innovative growing methods for fruits and vegetables that are on display inside the ride are actually producing food that guests can eat different places around Walt Disney World. But namely, inside the Land Pavilion at both Garden Grill, the table service restaurant upstairs, and also Sunshine Seasons, which is probably my favorite quick service restaurant in all of Walt Disney World. I just confirmed with some cast members that you can count on receiving produce on your plate from the ride at both Sunshine Seasons and Garden Grill, but you might get to eat some of them in other restaurants around Walt Disney World property as well. Number 32, meditative moments. Back here inside the UK Pavilion, you can watch live music performances throughout the day in this little gazebo. But on either side, it looks like some lovely boxwood hedges, maybe, filling out the space with decorative foliage. But in reality, it's actually a secret attraction. When you get a little closer here, you can see this is actually a maze, and guests are able to walk through and complete it. Don't worry if you get claustrophobic doing things like corn mazes. This one is very short. You can see everything that's going on back here in the UK Pavilion and all around you. Also, this one is very short and easy to maneuver through. It's sort of like a labyrinth designed for peaceful reflection or meditation, more than something thrilling or designed to test your navigation skills. Number 33, Golden Globes. The queue is full of authentic details and nods to NASA and real astronauts, but there's something out here in the plaza that is actually really meaningful and really special, and most people just walk by it and don't even know it's there. There are 29 gold medallions, I will call them, on the large globe out here in what is called Planetary Plaza, the entry plaza to Mission Space. Now, these represent the 29 rocket missions to the moon by the United States and Soviet Union, both manned missions and unmanned. And you've got to look closely for the red one, because this represents Apollo 11 and the first men on the moon. Number 34, you're actually cooler than I thought. When Quincy and Emma covered the media event celebrating the opening of Communicore Hall and Communicore Plaza, they thought it was amazing. The next morning, Sage and I covered the actual opening to the public, and we were, well, I'll speak for myself. I was underwhelmed. this is exactly what it looked like then, and I've heard it described a lot of ways. The way that I personally described it was feeling like it was a very nice bus terminal or like an okay train station. Like a modern train station in Europe. The lighting is feeling a lot brighter and intense and more colorful, which is nice. This could be partially because there's not as much daylight today. It's a cloudy day here in Epcot, so we may be getting more of the effect, or they turned it up to make it feel more special. Maybe this is an effect that comes on later in the day too. This space, even as is, being sort of like a waiting room, has grown on me. I really appreciate how cool and how great the air conditioning is, and there's a lot of seating, and there are tables for you to eat something, and it's a nice place to get away, but gosh, I was expecting a lot more. The problem is it was closed for so long. They were working on this, and you know, the anticipation was building for what Communicore Hall might be. Of course, Innoventions was pretty amazing. I mean, there were all kinds of exhibits and things to explore and things to do. And the only thing there is to do in here as is really sit. Take a look at this wall. It is made out of this sort of interesting canvas material. It's very lightweight. And what I understand from what Quincy and Emma experienced is that all of these walls somehow disappear over on this side as well. I hear there's an open kitchen. I hear there's a full bar hidden behind these walls. And we're told that they will have some sort of use during festivals and also during private parties. Number 35, scariest haunted house ever. Back in the early days of the Spaceship Earth ride, cast members were posted in the dark to manually rotate ride vehicles, since going down that final slope at the end of the ride face forward would be dangerous. How scary does that sound, though, for both the cast members who had to be standing up there in the dark and the guests who were suddenly encountering a human in the middle of a ride? We don't really have that experience very often. Eventually the turn was automated, and it still turns us to the safe position to go downhill to this day. But they have a voiceover that plays very loudly to alert guests that their ride vehicle will be turning and going downhill backwards, because it's still scary to have that happen out of nowhere if you're not warned.
You are now rotating backward for your return to Earth. Please remain seated, time travelers.
Number 36, secret audio animatronics. Audio animatronics were MAPO, short for Mary Poppins, because Walt said the success of Mary Poppins was able to fund this department, which ultimately turned into Imagineering. Basically at MAPO, they invented audio animatronics, which are really amazing robots. Some people think that they're called audio animatronics because they added an audio track to the characters that made them talk and sing and seem more realistic. That's not true. Actually, they're audio because of the fact that sounds actually created the movements in early audio animatronics. They were beeping sounds recorded on a tape that were able to manipulate the robots and trigger their movements, and that's why they're called audio animatronics. There is a diorama inside here, the Sportsman's Shoppy. I can't help it when I have to do the fancy way. I have to say it phonetically. The Sportsman's Shoppy is actually, it's actually motionless all the time. Okay, let's go inside and actually see this diorama. Most of the time, this diorama is motionless. And you walk by it and think, oh, it's just a diorama. There are dolls in there. And then it catches you by surprise if you happen to walk by in that moment every 2 minutes that it animates. When the parks first reopened after the pandemic, this diorama stood motionless for what felt like years. I think it was a couple years until finally one day I was walking by and they were moving. And what's so amazing is if I hadn't just accidentally walked by at the right time, I still wouldn't know to this day that they worked again. This diorama is considered to be one of the animatronic attractions in Disney parks worldwide. Number 37, the Ghost Children of the Lindenwood. Here in the Germany Pavilion, there is a special attraction you can only experience every hour on the hour. Well, it's actually a little bit after the hour, but it's supposed to be on the hour because it's a clock. It's a big German clock that comes to life every hour. When those little doors open and expose possibly the creepiest thing you will see all day in Epcot. Why don't we call them Hansel and Gretel like the German fairy tale? They are definitely visitors from the spirit world, much like Cynthia in Magic Kingdom's Liberty Square, and are very likely her best friends. Look at those eyes. Oh. Number 38, Run Disney. It's possible that you've walked through the Norway Pavilion hundreds of times and never noticed the statue of a runner next to the stave church. But there she is right there. It's possible you have celebrated in Epcot after many successful Run Disney events and never knew there was a tribute to one of the greatest runners of all time, but that's exactly what this statue represents. Greta Waitz was a Norwegian marathon runner and former world record holder. In 1979 at the New York City Marathon, she became the first woman in history to run the marathon in under 2.5 hours. Waitz won 9 New York City marathons between 1978 and 1988, the highest number of victories in a single big city marathon in history. Greta passed away in 2011, making this tribute to her even more meaningful. This is none of my business because I've never participated in a Run Disney event, but don't you think it would be a cool tradition to pay homage to Greta here in Epcot at the end of some of the events, all of the events? Since so many people come here and celebrate, I think it would be so cool to include Greta in that tradition and make a big deal out of the fact that she was a big deal in the world of running and just in the world. Number 39, the universe rocks. There are Easter eggs and nods to the original era of Epcot all over the queue for Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. But a very special Easter egg that means a lot to me personally is actually an audio tribute on the ride. The original ride that was in this pavilion was called Universe of Energy. That was my favorite. It was so cool. It had 2 different theme songs because that's how we measure things being cool, right? Universe of Energy was replaced by Ellen's Energy Adventure, which was ultimately closed, and the show building was gutted, and actually a new show building, a huge one that we can't see right now because it's back behind this, was built to actually house the ride because the track is the longest in all of Walt Disney World. What's cool is that the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise already pays tribute to classic tunes from the 70s and 80s. So it made sense that they might pay tribute musically to the original attraction that opened here in 1982, Universe of Energy, with one of their cool theme songs. That's exactly what they did. Now your best bet for hearing the theme song to Universe of Energy, your best bet for hearing the Universe of Energy theme song is to sit in the Your best bet for hearing the Universe of Energy theme song on the ride is actually to sit in one of the first front row or one of those first cars, because the front row actually turns into the back row. It's hard to explain, but just go with me here. You want to be in the front so you can be in the back, because then you'll be the closest to the Universe of Energy theme song. Ended up in row 3, which is actually the front row of the second car, which is still amazing. And of course, the biggest question when writing Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, besides can I hear the Universe of Energy theme song, is what song are we going to get on the rest of the ride out of the 6 that are available?
It's going to stop rock and roll from existing.
we got One Way or Another by Blondie. Great song to have on that ride. And we heard Universe of Energy theme song very clearly at the very beginning. Now, of course, this is one of 2 theme songs that were part of the original ride Universe of Energy. This one was Feel the Flow, here we go, it's the Universe of Energy. So you hear that now, 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 that loud guitar. The other theme song, which is not included, went, listen and you'll hear the heartbeat of a universe teeming with force. Okay, that was a weird rendition with other music playing. Anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is an amazing ride for many reasons, but it is definitely so cool. It pays tribute to the original Universe of Energy. Number 40, EPCOT is a castle park. Disney uses the term castle park to describe the Disneyland style theme parks they have around the world. There is understandably a lot of reverence surrounding this type of park because it's modeled after the only park that Walt Disney built himself, Disneyland. But despite EPCOT not being considered a castle park, I still think of it as one because it has a recreation of a real Japanese castle. This castle in the Japan Pavilion is a replica of the Shirasagi-jo, a 17th century fortress overlooking the city of Himeji, known as one of the most well-preserved castles in Japan. There's a legend that the real castle in Japan is actually haunted by a woman named Okiku, who was falsely accused of losing dishes that were valuable family treasures and then killed and thrown into a well. Her ghost is said to remain and haunt the well at night, where you can hear her counting dishes in a despondent tone. Well, this wasn't supposed to be a haunted secret, it was a castle secret, but now it's a haunted secret because Okiko's well stands next to Shirasagi-jo to this day, and you can go visit it and take your picture next to it. And maybe if you go at night, you'll hear her counting her dishes. One, because it's despondent was the description of her. So that would be like this. 1, 2, 3. If you liked this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. And now go watch me tell 40 secrets of Magic Kingdom. See you next time.